So I'm just going to go through extruding. I'm going to just create a cylinder here, and I'm just going to increase the number of sides to 20, and I'm going to select the top group of faces. What's important with Extrude is knowing exactly which faces I have selected. If I accidentally select some faces on the bottom or somewhere I didn't expect, the pivot point of those faces will have moved to somewhere unexpected. So if I've got these top ones selected and I think, right, I'm going to extrude these faces, if the pivot point isn't in the middle of those faces, I have something accidentally selected. So just keep an eye out for your pivot point and make sure it doesn't end up somewhere strange. If it does, it's likely you've got a face selected round the back that you didn't expect. When I do extrude, I'm going to get a widget, and with this widget I can click on the circular part to rotate. I can click on the move parts to move it up and down. Usually I extrude along the Z axis, which is the blue axis, and if I click on one of the cubes, I can either scale along the X axis of the faces or the Y, or I can scale uniformly as well. So if I wanted to do like a gun barrel kind of muzzle effect, I can just do this. So it's important to use this widget, and one of the most useful uses for it is for things like, say, if I wanted to do cogs. So if I select every other face here, I'm going to make a cog. If I extrude by just clicking the extrude button, or if I can go to edit mesh and I can go to extrude here, or if I can use the marking menu, I can get edit mesh and extrude. If I extrude this, what it's going to do is going to give me one widget on one of the faces, but whatever I do to this face, it will duplicate that effect across all of them. Now there's slight changes to rotation and movement depending on the position of the faces, but certainly for X, if I move down the X axis, and often with scaling, whatever I do to this one face, it will duplicate it for all the others. So if I want to create cogs, just move this one to here, to there, and I'm just going to scale it and create a cog like that. That is different from if I move it under normal circumstances. So if I use just the move tool and I try and move a face, it will move all of the tools together as a group. It won't move one and then copy the effect to all the others, and that's something to be mindful of. So I'm going to grab all of these faces now because I want to extrude them all. I'm going to click on extrude, and I'm going to extrude them along the y-axis, and you can see how it's moving all of the faces along each individual z-axis. Sorry, was what I meant. So I'm moving across the z-axis here, the blue axis, and I'm going to scale like this, and you can see it's moving, it's giving me a widget for one face and it's applying that effect to all of them. Again, if I use the move tool, if I click on this little icon here and I move them, it'll move them as a group, not as little individuals. I'll click on that icon again, and now I can move them as individuals there. So it's really important to make sure you make use of this widget and recognize the difference between the different types of movement, whether it's moving a face, one individual face, and copying the effect across all faces, or if it's moving the faces as a group all in one direction. So it's a generally versatile tool that I use a lot, and it's definitely worth having a play around with and getting to grips with.